What is up, everybody? Basic beat of the week, 9. Man, we are approaching those double digits. Woo, celebrate, all right? So we are rolling in with basic beat 9. One slight adjustment to what we did last week on basic beat of the week number 8, all right? Basic beat of the week number 8, we started with that bass drum on the 1. This week, the only modification and the change that we're going to do is we're going to start on the and after the 1. I was throwing those little China hits in there to signal where the 1 was, because sometimes we really get lost in the feel, and maybe the snare drum sounds like it's kind of falling off the beat because we're so used to feeling that bass drum lock in on the 1. And this is the second time that we've done this with a basic beat of the week where we're not starting on the 1. And it's really important to go through all these different motions and feel it out so we make sure that we're not always locked into being in a specific start of the 1. A lot of music doesn't start on the 1. It's really cool. And even if you're playing some sort of drum fill, which we'll talk about after the basic beats of the week, we can even roll in on a drum fill and start on the and with a groove because we rolled over the bar. All kinds of phrases I'm throwing out there that are like, whoa, too much. That's all right. Basic beat of the week. Let's keep it basic. All right. So, of course, you got the constant. We've got the 8 notes. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Always happening on the hi-hat, right? Next, we got the 2 and the 4 and the snare drum, and that purpose is really locking up pretty solid, okay? And if we will eventually, just want to clarify this, we will make a departure from snare always being on the 2 and the 4, and the hi-hats always being constant 8 notes. But for now, those are a constant, those are a guide, so that we can go beyond it, right, and lock in some different stuff with the bass drum. All right, so we got that 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. All right, there's your constant. Now let's talk about that bass drum, what we got going on. All right, so just like last week, after the snare hit, we play 2 and we play that on the bass drum. So we go 2 and, right, in that, 2 and, okay? And then right before the snare hit on 4, we actually have that bass drum pick up. So it's 3 and 4, 3 and 4, all right? What we're going to do, instead of starting on 1, we're simply going to start on the and after 1. So it goes 1 and 2 and that's the first 2 beats, the first 2 groupings we've got going on there. 1 and 2 and. It's right on either side of the snare drum. That's a good way to kind of think about it and remember it. Always find little tricks that help you think about stuff until you practice this enough that it does become muscle memory. So the first half is 1 and 2 and, which means your hi-hat with your right hand is starting on 1 all by itself. 1 and 2 and, all right? And then the second part will sort of mirror that, but we won't play on the last and. So it's 3 and 4 and. So it's very similar to the first half of this, but we're just plucking that last extra 8th note. So we're only playing 3 bass drum hits, and they all show up on the ands. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. All right? So that's it. That's all that's really going on. It's the ands. It's not playing the very last and it kind of has this bouncy feel. Back and forth between the snare drum and the bass drum, right? So that's it. That's it, basic beat of the week. So let's take it nice and slow. We'll kind of walk through it, and then you can kind of play along with this a little bit, pause the video, practice on your own, and then take it from there. All right, here we go. Nice and slow. 1 and 2 and 3 and go. And 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. All right, so pause it right here, practice that, get used to it. If you do own a metronome, by this time, I usually don't like to bury ourselves with metronome right away. That may be counter to what a lot of other teachers say. I think it's more important to get the feel, then bring the metronome in, and then you really lock everything in solid and tight. And then from there, you kind of, you can worry about your tempos and speed and everything is locked in, especially when you start to make modifications and changes. But it's important to really get the feel of what you're doing before you worry about being dead on. The reason is you're so worried about playing with the metronome dead on that it takes a lot longer to feel out something. So you have that awareness of the technical support by thinking about the counting and counting along and placing that, and then stop counting out loud. It becomes in your head. it's internalized, then the metronome locks it in. Blah blah blah. That's a lot. Basic beat of the week. We're on the ands with the bass drum, except for the and after 4. And that's it. All right. So I hope you're digging this one. And I'll see you next time. See you guys next time. Basic beat of the week with Dave